Hey there, and welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, I want to look at how we can tweak how Craft refers to types of content in the control panel. And we're going to do that by taking advantage of the translation capability that Craft has for the control panel strings. Things like labels, error messages, all of that is translated into maybe a dozen or 24 languages. And we can take advantage of that to change those names to something that we prefer. So in my case, I want to change the name of the singles and structures. Let's look at how we're going to do that. So in the control panel, if I go to entries, you can see there's this name on the sidebar here called singles. I think the name singles is a little confusing, so I want to change it. The other place is in settings. If I go to sections, there is also the name under type here of single and structure. Now again, I find single confusing, especially for people that are working on the site, and structure could probably be named something different as well. So we're going to take advantage of translations to make that happen. Now there are translations for the control panel available in Craft, App, and then Translations. Now these translations right here are part of the Craft app, and that means every update could potentially overwrite those translation files with improvements or new translations or whatever the changes are to the application. Because of that, we don't want to go into, for example, English US, which is my language for my version of Craft, and change the strings here. We want to create our own translation file that lives outside of the app directory. So, in fact, Craft has a way for us to do that. We can create a translations directory inside of the Craft directory and then put our files in there. So that's what we need to do. We go to New Directory and we'll call it Translations. And inside of that directory, we're going to create a new file and we will name it the same as our translation that we're using. And in our case, it's en_us.php. So we'll call it en_us.php. And if you're unsure of the translation, you can then look at the naming convention that is in that translations directory. Now here, all we are going to do is return an array. If we look back at this one in the app, we just return an array with the key as the name that we want to replace, and then the string itself. So let's go ahead and do opening PHP and return array. And then here we just define what we want to override. In our case, I want to override the word single to be page. And I want to override the word singles, plural, to be pages. I want to override the word structure to be, let's say, nested pages. We'll do that. All right, so we've created a simple array that we're returning. And on the left is what Craft is using now. And on the right is our translation or change. So if we save that, go back to the control panel, and reload, now the structure is called nested pages, and the single is called page. And if I go to my entries listing, you can see now this on the sidebar is called pages. And for me and this site and the people that work on this site, that makes way more sense than singles. So just to review, we created a new directory inside of the Craft directory, but outside of the app directory called Translations. And inside of that directory, we created a new file named after the locale that we are using. In my case, it's en_us.php. And then I just opened my PHP tag, returned an array with key and values for the strings I want to override, and then the values I want to override with. And that's how we can take advantage of translations to tweak the names of things in the control panel to make more sense for our customers and our users. All right, thanks for watching. To learn more about Craft, go to learncraftcms.com.